Good morning and welcome back to Mosaic. I'm Rabbi Eric Weiss and honored to be your host this morning. We're joined in conversation with Lori Starr, the Executive Director of the Contemporary Jewish Museum, and Gravity Goldberg, Associate Director of Public Programs. Welcome back, Gravity and Lori.
Thank you.
I know the museum also pays attention in a very exquisite way to notions of identity development and the ways in which identity forms by cultural memory that goes beyond any individual person's life. And so I'm wondering if you can talk about an exhibit that I know is coming up that kind of has that theme attached to it.
Yes, we are very excited about an original CJM exhibition. It's been in the making for a couple of years now. It is going to have a scholarly catalog, and it represents 24 different artists from all over the U.S. and actually 15 countries overall, either born in different countries or American, but from this country's heritage. And the name of the show is From Generation to Generation, Inherited Memory in Contemporary Art. Now, we know that the term from generation to generation, particularly in the Reform Judaism movement, L'Dor Vador is something that we sing and we say. For instance, as we pass the Torah from parent to child at a bar or bat mitzvah, this notion of from generation to generation, this is the calling for Jews and all people to remember who they are and to keep their heritage and their faith alive. We have taken this concept of from generation to generation, and we've actually applied it to the concept of inherited memory in contemporary art. So memory can be inherited and passed down from generation to generation. And most of us think as memory in terms of our own family narratives. The core of our exhibition starts with second and third generation Jewish artists whose work talks about their own inherited memory of the Shoah, either from their parents.
We should say Shoah is a Hebrew word for the Holocaust.
It's the Hebrew word for the Holocaust. And the real nucleus of the show comes out of this inherited memory of the trauma of the Holocaust, which many artists who happen to be Jewish or from other walks of life whose families experienced the trauma of the Holocaust carry with them and make art from.
As we continue to talk, I know we have a few photographs. Let's show some of the photographs as we continue to talk about it.
And you know, this just gives you a taste of some of the work in the show. There are so many artists from so many different backgrounds, not only Jewish. There's works of African American artists, artists from South America, artists from the American South, talking about the civil rights movement. So in other words, it's an inclusive exhibition that looks at inherited memory across many different identities. But of course, it starts with the Jewish, and then, like a shofar, opens out much wider.
It's so incredible. You know, Gravity, Lori was talking earlier that one of the unique features of the Contemporary Jewish Museum is that it doesn't have a permanent collection, which means that it gathers collections from anywhere else in the world, but also initiates its own original collections at the museum itself. And I'm wondering, can you give us a little peek into the thinking process about how do you come up with an originating exhibit that really doesn't exist anyplace else?
Well, that is what our curators do. They have interests, and they sort of look around the world, and things capture their attention. I mean, for generation to generation, I believe it was some just sort of scholarly adventures that our curators embarked on, and they sort of found the seed idea of inherited memory and thought it was so interesting and really wanted to kind of push at it and see how it might develop into an exhibition, which it then did.
They actually were inspired by the work of a particular scientist named Dr. Miriam Hirsch, who has an essay in the catalog, and it's about post-memory, the concept of one can actually have memory that's not even your own. So it's
Yes.
a deep dive by our curators into this very subject.
What, we're going to take a quick break, but how interesting that internally you function on inspiration, which in turn you hope to stimulate by the very exhibits themselves when the public comes. Beautiful circle of inspiration. Please join us in just a moment when we come back to Mosaic.